Grace, I've got something to show you.
What?
You ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Do you want to see something cool?
Yeah, sure.
This is one of the books I also want to talk about.
Bro, isn't that like a $100 book?
Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome back
Hi.
to another day of Vlogmas. I'm back again with Grace! Tiger Eyes Films!
Me.
So, Grace, if you guys don't know, which I find it very hard to believe that you wouldn't know, is a book girly. I consider Grace like queen of book talk. Like in my friend group. You know? Like if I have any questions about book talk, I'm going to Grace.
Yeah, it's where I'm at.
How many books did you read this year?
47.
I read 13.
Wow.
Which is more than last year, actually. I surpassed my reading goal of 10 books this year. Today, I thought it would be really fun for us to just sit down and talk about books. You know, chill. Have a nice, like, chill book talky vibe.
Yeah.
Because I know there's lots of people who are subscribed to us both.
Yes.
That also read books.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about some of our favorites from this year and some that we wish would have never been written.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Please stop writing. What were you doing?
Yeah.
So.
Why did you publish this?
Let's start things off positive. Tell me about one of your favorites from this year. Just a favorite. It doesn't have to be the favorite. Okay. I have the favorite.
So I'll wait to do the favorite.
Okay.
So I read the Hunger Games books trilogy, like all the books I've read that this year recently, and I really, really enjoyed that trilogy. I hadn't read it since I was like little, and the world building is just like obviously not super like intense, but I think it was really interesting to see like rereading something that I read when I was little and rereading it now and just seeing the different perspectives as you grow and change as a person is really cool. And just like watching the movies again and doing the comparisons. So I really liked how it was written. So that was like one of my favorite reads was like the trilogy.
I remember The Hunger Games terrified me as a kid.
Really?
Like I read them all, but I was crying. My mom had to like come sit with me when I was reading. I think it was when they were, I don't know, but there were voices, they were like in the sewers or something. I don't know. They were running from something.
Yeah,
Finnick was involved.
Yeah.
There were voices in a tunnel.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was sobbing violently and my mom had to sit with me while I was reading.
Really?
Yeah, it freaked me out. Wow. Hunger Games scared me.
See, I remember my mom read them before we did. And my mom was like, okay guys, be careful. Like, it's a lot. It's a heavy read. And then I read it and then I was like, this wasn't that bad.
The way I don't think my mic has been plugged in this whole time. It came up plugged. In the spirit of like rereading stuff from youth, I have started rereading a lot of the books that I was forced to read in high school just to kind of like see where I'm at mentally. Because I reread The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I hope to God I'm saying his name right. I reread that last year, and I remember I hated that when we were forced to read it.
Yeah, me too.
But for whatever reason, like it really, like the imagery from the book was sitting with me, and I was like, I just have to reread this. And now it's probably one of my favorite books of all time. So I was like, I'm kind of curious to see what I hated in high school and compare it to now. And I've found something very, very interesting, that I love what I hated, and I hate what I loved.
Wow. So
one of the books that I loved now, that I hated then, was Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. I got the uncensored version. This one's more gay.
There's a censored version?
They thought it was too homoerotic back in the day when it was published, so they were like, we're gonna take some stuff out. But what prompted me to read this one sooner was Ash loves this book. And I have to say, yes, it's wordy, but the language is so beautiful. And if you're somebody who really appreciates, like, I don't know, language and especially dialogue, Oscar Wilde it's just run on sentences, basically. Like, it's my brain. It never stops. I think it's really amazing. And it's not as complicated to read as I remember it being, because I read this while I was at work, like actively running a live broadcast. So there was this one that I loved, and then also I reread The Bell Jar.
Oh, nice.
Loved The Bell Jar in high school. Hate it now.
Yeah, I've heard like mixed things about it.
It, honest to God, kind of triggering. I'm not gonna lie. There were so many things that I was reading. I was like, they were letting us read this in high school. To be fair, I also had to read The Handmaid's Tale, and that one felt like a lot to read in high school as well. So public school just was wild, and I don't know. But I remember I really loved it because, you know, hello, depressed girly. And then now that I'm older and I have matured, I'm like, this was not healthy for me to be reading. This is actually kind of triggering, and I'm glad that I'm in a better mental state now because I could not imagine reading it.
Yeah, no.
No. It was not great. It was not great.
Let's talk about Lightlark, okay?
I see this book everywhere.
I was really excited. I was really looking forward to it. I was following the author before it came out. I was like, hell yeah. I even went and, like, she did, like, a little, like, gift of page overlays, and I went and bought that, too. I was so excited, and then I read it, and then I was like, oh my god.
What is it about, even? Do you want me to pull up the summary?
So, no, because...
You got it?
The author talks about it in every single one of her TikToks. And I just ingrained into my head. It's about an island that appears every how many years or so? Yeah. And, like, it's like you...
I remember you were so excited to read this.
I know! And it was bad. It was so...
Was the writing just immature?
She literally called... She's like, the sun was a yoki thing. The word thing was, like, almost, like, every time she was trying to compare and explain stuff, like, she did a thing. She did a, like, what a fucking cop-out to describe anything. And, like, some people were, like, eating up the book, and I was literally sitting there, like, this, I'm not the target audience. It was like, it's a YA book, and YA, it's either really good or really bad.
Yeah,
and
it's
this
hit or
was
miss,
just, like,
for sure.
bad. And then, like, the cliffhanger was really weird, and, like, it was, like, the author was hinting at, like, a love triangle sort of thing, and that didn't really work out well. And the main character was fucking annoying as hell. Oh my god. It was, like, so many things just, like, didn't make sense.
Yeah. You could say she did a thing.
She did a thing. Was it a good thing? No.
We'll go into more detail about whether it was a good or bad thing that she did in the book, apparently. No. Oh, man. I'm so tired of, like, love triangles. Like, it's in everything. Like, I'm okay with it if it's done well.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, okay. You know what, actually, it's sitting right here. That's why I thought of it. You know what actually did a really good subversion with a love triangle? So I read this last year.
Oh, I read it with you.
But Iron Widow... Oh my gosh, thank you, RJ, for just never shutting up about this book and forcing me to read it.
I don't know, but if you like sci-fi, it's like, oh my god, it's kind of like...
If you like mechs...
Huh?
Mechs, so, like, in anime, mechs are, like, the giant suits, like Transformers.
Okay, yeah.
But typically you have, like, a person who's driving the mech suit or whatever.
Yeah.
If you like mechs, Pacific Rim. If you like Pacific Rim, you will like Iron Widow.
Did someone say mechs?
Please show off your mech. Please show it off. And which anime is this from?
This is Gurren Lagann.
Is that the really expensive one that you were building?
Yeah.
He's all dusty. You should dust him.
He is all dusty.
He just stabbed me with his spiky back.
Yeah?
It actually kind of hurt. If you like mechs, you'll like this book. If you like feminist stuff, you'll like this book.
If you don't know what Megan's talking about, but if you like... It's like a mix of sci-fi and fantasy, and the world's kind of falling apart, and this girl goes into this, like, army thing, and she escapes her toxic household, and she really just becomes her own person and steps into her own power. It's a really good book. They do the love stuff kind of, like, in the background, and it's, like, woven in really nicely to you get, like, these really nice, like, little moments, but it's really about this girl, like, overcoming her... she has some sort of, like, physical disability.
Foot binding, where they would literally would disfigure the feet to keep them small and dainty and feminine. Yeah. And she deals with that, all kinds of that, that thing.
Like, and the writing is very good.
It's very good. It's very, very good.
Another book I really liked that I read this year was Divine Rivals. It's, like, a historical, like, fantasy kind of book that, like, draws some language from North America. But essentially, like, it's a antagonist or rivals to lovers, like, workplace. But they're at war, okay? And they have, like, the gods. There's these two gods at war, and you're one side or you're the other side. And our main character, it's a dual POV, okay? So we have our main character and we have like the guy, right? And they have these typewriters and they type letters to each other and they appear. So they're secretly typing letters to each other and they don't know it's each other. And then one of them realizes who the other person is and they keep writing letters. And there's just a lot of good angst in it and the writing is really well done. And so it's so good. It's so good. The second book comes out next year and I can't wait to read it. You have to read it. The banter is really good. If you like any sort of like rivals to lovers, enemies to lovers, that kind of dialogue, amazing. Really good, really well done. Our main character is she's really complex and really interesting and I really saw parts of myself in her. It was just like a really good book. And the guy, he was also like fleshed out really well. It was just really good too.
Yeah. Is that like your favorite that you read this year?
No, not my favorite. Oh, dang. But I really liked it.
I'm excited to hear your favorite then, because bro, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I guess I should talk about Dune, because I finally finished it. But I started reading Dune last year. I read essentially up to where the first movie stopped. And then I read the second half this year so I can watch the second half of the book when it comes out. And I love just Frank Herbert's writing. That's something that really attracts me to a book. I like the writing. I love how with Herbert, it feels like everything is there on purpose. Like every word was picked specifically for this moment. I laugh though at old sci-fi and old fantasy. Their main characters just being named Paul, Luke, like guys, come on. But it's really good. I obviously, people have seen the movie at this point, or you've seen, personally, I really like the sci-fi TV show adaptation they did. I think that one's probably my favorite adaptation, or adaptation. But I finally convinced my dad to read Dune, which is crazy because people have been telling him to read Dune for like 30-something years. Wow. 40-something years. However old this man is, they've been telling him to read Dune. And he's just like, I don't know how I feel about it. And his favorite book series of all time is The Wheel of Time, which has an Amazon show out now that's absolutely awful. It's terrible. But I know when he was reading Dune, he was like, wow, Wheel of Time just stole everything from Dune. And he really liked it. So I haven't started on the second book yet, but I know Dune's a huge book and very daunting. And if you're somebody who's never read fantasy or sci-fi before, it could be challenging because the world building is so in depth. Like, he'll just give random names to normal things that should just have normal names, but instead it's a random name. But it's really good. Again, it's told from a third-person omniscient point of view, so you get like everybody's thoughts. Yeah. And I love that because that's how I write and how I think, and that's how a lot of movies are. Yeah. But then in every creative writing class I've ever been in, they're like, so you're roving a lot. You need to stop that. Okay. I took my first creative writing class this semester because it's my minor. I cheated. I took an old short story and submitted it, and I was like, that's fine. Yeah. Anyways, so I kind of like didn't select a point of view. I did third person omniscient, but I'm also gonna like, if another character enters the frame, I'm gonna touch a little bit on their feelings too. Yeah. And my professor was like, your point of view gets a little discombobulated. Like, you have to stick to one point of view. Bro. But, like, why? I don't understand, because at least, like, because I understand you have to be very, very specific about it, and you have to be very careful. Yeah. But that's, like, when the importance of an editor comes in. Yeah. I think so often people are just told, just don't do that. And I think a lot of, especially young adult novels, they're kind of held back because suddenly authors feel like they aren't allowed to explore different perspectives, and sometimes you can only get information revealed from that perspective. Like the amazing part in Dune, the tension that you would think is there if I don't know if you've seen the first movie, but there's a traitor amongst House Atreides. You know from the very beginning that there's a traitor, and you know who the traitor is because you have his point of view. the tension is not in finding out who the traitor is, because that's not what's important to the story. The importance to the story is how it's all going to play out, and how it's all going to come to light, and how it's going to impact everyone. And I freaking love that. And that's something you can only get if you're showing multiple perspectives. And I think, yes, it's an art form that you have to be very delicate with, but I will love just hearing one of Paul's thoughts, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing his mom's thoughts, and I'm seeing that they're both experiencing the same thing, but they're interpreting it completely different. And so then it's really effective for unreliable like narrators or unreliable characters. It's just so good. Yeah, no, Frank Herbert's a master at it. So if you like that, and you like sci-fi, and it's sci-fi fantasy, I would say. It's not like heavy science fiction like Interstellar or The Martian or something, where it's science-based. It's very Game of Thrones, but in space. So it's really good. I loved Dune.
Yay. Another one we didn't like. Okay, so I only ranked one book, like, no, I think I ranked White Lark 1 star, to be honest, or 2 stars. Okay, so I gave this book 1 star, okay? So, granted, I read this solely because somebody on Book Talk posted a little, like, teaser of, like, a smut scene, and suddenly I was like, I have to read this. I love a good smut scene. I love a good, long, detailed smut scene. It really is really well done. I'm like, I eat it up. You know, hey, I'm a Scorpio. Like, I it's just in my astrology. It's in the stars for me to, like, love a good sex scene. Anyways.
Plus in the erotica section. Grace, it's your section. No, it's not.
I was telling you how...
That's you and Emma's section.
Stop. I read Iced Out by Veronica Eden, right? And I'm reading it, and I'm like, this is kind of shit. But I just need to read that smut scene. I've been so excited. Keep this out. I got to the smut scene. I was like, yeah, I'm so excited. It lasted like 2 pages. I was like, what the fuck? How are you gonna do a smut scene for 2 pages? Like, don't even put the smut scene in if it's gonna be that short.
Is it A Court of Thorns and Roses that has, like, a whole chapter smut scene in one of the books?
I think it's, like, the second book.
Yeah. I haven't read that
That's
yet.
what I want. Give me a whole chapter to thank you. Give me, like, a long, detailed sex scene.
So what we don't like is that the sex scene was 2 pages.
Yeah, and it was just, like, not good. It just, like, the talking during it was bad. Like, it was just boring. I'm like,
Are you lost, baby girl?
Are you lost, baby girl?
I was lost. I was reading this and I was like, this is not for me. This is not the vibes. And I finished it because I can't just be like, I can't just DNF a book. I feel like it's gonna hate me, you know? And then I finished it and then I was like, it was just so disappointing and, like, misogynistic at times and toxic masculinity at times. And it was just, like, very odd. It felt like the author was throwing in, like, everything. And I feel like at times when authors write romance, they, like, throw in a little bit of, like, something that would be more so in, like, a fantasy romance. And it throws me off. And I'm like, yeah, we're in the real world.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly.
Yeah. So it was just, like, a really weird read. I didn't like it. Don't read it. Please don't.
You know, I actually did not finish this year. I finally accepted I'm not going to finish it. I started it when I started Dune, so, like, last year, The Cruel Prince. I finally accepted I'm just not finishing that book.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I know. It's, like, the most controversial take I'll ever have in my entire life. But when I tell you, I opened it back up to try it again this year. Like, I really tried, and I stuck with it for at least 5 more chapters, hoping and praying. Because I got to the whole, like, Jude bit, like, hoping that after that I would start, like, no, I didn't start liking it. But I was looking back through the early chapters, and I was just crossing out entire sections of text. I was writing, this should have been moved to page whatever and inserted here. Like, I went into full editor mode while I was reading this book, and I wasn't able to enjoy it because all I was able to look at it when I was reading it was, this is how I would have done it. I would have done this differently. Not to say that I would have done it better. It was just I couldn't turn off the part of my brain that was in critique mode.
Yeah.
And so if I can't turn that off and I can't enjoy the book, I just don't want to read the book because I think that's a disservice to the author. If I'm having this hard of a time, it is not fair of me to continue reading your book while I'm in this this headspace. So maybe I'll try reading it again far, far in the future. But for whatever reason, like, it just was not computing.
I feel like we should talk about Ice Planet Barbarians.
Oh shit, yeah.
Since we're on the topic of smut.
Since we were on the topic of smut. So I got into Ice Planet Barbarians because of Rory. I was going through my, like, Avatar obsession again. And Rory was like, Megan, you know, if you like blue aliens, you would like this book. I can't remember if I knew when I got it, if I knew what it was. But it was my first, like, actual smut book.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't fan fiction.
Oh, really?
It was my first published smut book that I've ever read. Mm. And wild times. There's like 18 books in that series. I'm on book 4. I don't know. I'm just waiting to get to Megan. Megan has a book. It's me. It's Megan. But no, I liked it. It had more heart and plot to it than I thought it was gonna have.
Yeah.
Like it was perfect for me.
Yeah.
Because it also gave, like, you know, Loki Frost Giant vibes. Like, one of my favorite Loki fanfics takes place on Jotunheim in the cold. Mm-hmm. And the reader has to rely on Loki to stay warm. It's the same freaking vibes in the first book. So I just really liked it. It's, you know, it's sci-fi, but it's like fantasy sci-fi.
Yeah.
Fantasy romance sci-fi, so I really liked it.
Yeah. See, I have read a good amount of smut before reading this book. I knew exactly what it was about because everyone on Book Talk, like, we talked about it. It's like one of those things.
I know nothing.
I knew what I was walking into. I knew the writing wasn't going to be, like, amazing.
I kind of liked how it wasn't great, no, but it was no worse than any fanfic I ever read. You know, like...
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it. I think the smut scenes were written nice. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was, because I really like Katie Roberts. She writes really good smut, and I like her book. So if I wanted, like, a smut book, I'll go read Katie Roberts.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I was there for a good time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, we're on a planet with aliens. And I'm sitting here more interested in that. Like, I could have gone without the smut in the entire book, and I still would have enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I read another smutty book that I did not know when I picked it up. It was smut.
What book?
Scarred by Emily McIntyre.
Oh, you didn't know.
I did not fucking know. Do you know what I did? I went to Barnes & Noble because I'm trying to write a novel right now, and I'm trying to find comparable titles as, like, research purposes to see what's been published within the past several years. Anyways, so I picked up this book, and I read the back cover, and I was like, this is, like, similar enough to, like, the point of tension in what I'm writing. Holy shit! No, it's not. Not at all. It was good. I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I'd read another one.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but like I don't know. To me, smut is like fanfic. You stay in fanfic. To me, it's just Miguel.
Yeah.
Miguel fanfic writers. Interesting. Have you read Scarred or anything, Emily McIntyre?
No, I haven't, because I know it's gonna be similar to Katie Roberts, where it's straight smut.
No.
Oh, it's not?
Scarred had plot that you would have fucked with.
Oh.
You would fuck with Scarred.
Was it like it's like it's like a retelling, right? It's some kind of like
I think
hook.
it's supposed to be
hook retelling,
so that would be
right?
Hooked.
Yeah.
Her book Hooked is the hook retelling. I think this one might be frickin' Lion King. It might be Scar. Because it's all about, you know, like the brother who wants to be king or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And it was, but when I was reading it, I was like, Grace would like this. It was kind of, it gave similar, like, dark academia fantasy, like, in tone vibes to the Shadows Between Us that I recommended you read. That one?
Yeah.
By Trisha Limsetter, but it was better than that.
Okay.
But it was I pictured the main dude as the same guy.
Yeah. My absolute, like, favorite read of this year, like, I'm obsessed with this book. Anything this author writes, I'm buying. Like, I literally want to get, like, tattoos from this book series because it's so, like, so good. And that was, The Serpent and the Wings of Night duology. And there's also a little, like, novella of Six Scorched Roses. But even then, and, like, her other books that, like, I've read by her so far, like, holy f***ing shit. Oh my god. Like, it's, like, vampires and, like, fantasy and, like, Hunger Games.
I remember this changed your brain chemistry. There was a whole point of Crisis where you were like, I don't know if I want to do androids with Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Or what if I did vampires?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, I want to do a vampire model horse series so freaking bad. So I was full on, yes, do the vampires,
Yeah.
do it. I'm glad we stayed with androids.
Me too, yeah.
But, like, there was a crisis that
Yeah.
occurred.
Like, I pulled, like, God, I'm using this, like, Serpent and the Wings of Night is an inspiration that I'm drawing from to help continue with Bloodborne. Like, there's a certain thing, there's, like, certain things that I'm like, oh, I want to use, like, something like that. And I've always, like, never saw myself 100% in, like, a character before. But then the main character, Araya, I read it and I was like, this is me to a fucking T. And, like, oh my god, it just, like, makes me so warm and fuzzy because I read it and I just felt so understood because she acted how I would have acted in moments. And, like, there's enemies to lovers in it too, and it was really good, and the plot twist really, like, threw me off. And the main character has, like, a really, like, the father-daughter dynamic in there. If you have daddy issues, you will love this book. You will love this book so much because it really just, like, shows how complex, how you can love someone and hate what they did and hate that they kept things from you. And especially we never see that as, like, parental figures. It's always romantic figures. So to see that as a parental figure and be like,
oh, well,
wow.
that's like really important because I think the whole, like, crazy thing about growing up is seeing your parents as people and disagreeing with a lot of the decisions that they make. Like, you can still love them, obviously, as family, but you can also disagree with them. And I think for a lot of people, realizing that, it's kind of honestly terrifying because you rely on your parents for everything growing up. And then all of a sudden to disagree with them, it's like, am I even allowed to do that?
Yeah.
So that's healthy to see that representation.
It was really, like, healing. And I was like, wow. Like, I remember, like, I read these books on my Kindle, and I remember I would highlight, and then I would take a picture of every single quote that I liked on my phone.
Yeah.
It's so, like, beautifully done. Like, I need this, it's, like, engraved in my soul, this book series. Like, I'm gonna reread it next year, for sure. So
I love that you love your favorite book from this year for such a deep, meaningful reason.
Yeah.
And then I can't even explain why I like mine the way I like it. Like, I think I was just vibing and having a good time.
Yeah.
But, so, my favorite book is actually a series. I devoured this series in a month. Longer than Dune. I read this all in 1 month. And that's the Simon Snow series by Rainbow Rowell. I have had this book for years. Ever since I finished Fangirl in high school, or whenever this book came out, I've been sitting on it. It's just been sitting on my shelf, hoping that I would get to it eventually. And I'm glad that I got to it. Erica told me to read it. Erica was super excited when I started it. But holy shit, oh my god, I love it so much. This is my Harry Potter era. Like, I feel like, it's weird now, when I'll say, oh, I want to watch Harry Potter, I have to remind myself that it's not this. Because I never read the original Harry Potters.
Yeah.
So this was mine. I mean, it's basically... So Fangirl is technically where these characters came from. And it was about a college student who wrote fanfic for Simon Snow, which was basically just Harry Potter. And then Rainbow Rowell made it into a series. And it's basically just like the chosen one taken in a different direction, and it's a British wizarding school and everything, and it's just... Listen. I just love it. I love how conversational her writing is. There's a mystery in it, too, where you're trying to figure out what's happening, and I would just highlight things, and I would write in the book, like, oh my gosh, I think this is what's gonna happen. I would text Erica frantically, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen, right? And I was always wrong. I was never right. Which, that's freaking incredible that I was never right. And then towards the third book, it was just, I was highlighting, like, oh my god, it's happening, oh my god.
Yeah.
I was just really excited. But it's so good. I love Baz as a character. He's basically Draco. I love Simon as a character. He's Harry, but, like, having a mental crisis at all times. And it's really good because it's me.
Yeah.
And on our conversation earlier about having multiple perspectives, every single chapter is first person from a different character's point of view.
Oh, fun.
So every character has a different voice.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I love that.
And you can tell.
Yay.
And it's just, it's so good. The dialogue is good. Rainbow Rowell is just really conversational. Really love it. The second book in the series, I could take or leave this. It was fun. I enjoyed it. When we got to Las Vegas with the vampires, I needed more of that.
Yeah.
That's like my only critique. I rated this one the lowest, but I rated it 4 stars.
Okay, yeah.
This was 5.
Yeah.
But then we get to the third and final book in the series, and we were back up to 5 stars. I just loved it. And I wish I could go back and reread this for the first time, because it was so much fun. It was one of those where I couldn't stop. I thought about it when I woke up, and I thought about it when I went to bed, and nothing else mattered. It was literally, I just lived, breathed, and ate Simon Snow.
Yeah.
And I haven't felt that way since Lunar Chronicles. So it was kind of amazing.
Yay.
I love it. But yeah, we have a pact that when the paperback of
The
Serpent of Wings and Night comes out, I will read it, and Grace will read Carry On.
Yeah.
And you won't like it.
Maybe. You don't know. You never know.
You'll be like, Harry Potter was so much better.
Stop. No.
This isn't Draco.
No.
Draco's not a vampire.
I compare it to my, like, fan fictions. Because that's, like, I don't pay attention to, like, the books. I pay attention to the fan fictions.
Yeah.
I actually do have, like, the paperbacks of The Serpent and the Witch. I have, like, so...
What? Did you buy, like...
No, it was before... So she got picked up.
Yeah.
But I panicked and went and bought the paperbacks of all her books because I didn't want those to get picked up. But it's my baby, and so I...
Dude, you did not have to let me borrow it.
Bring it.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. Dude, it's okay. Meanwhile, I'm like, yeah, you can take the 10th anniversary of Cinder home. I won't mind. I gave one of my friends my copy of Scarlet, which in high school, Scarlet was my favorite book. It got lost.
Oh, no.
Do you know, he found it and gave it back to me?
Oh.
So now I have 3 copies of that.
That's so funny. Okay. So, since we're on the topic of Harry Potter and fan fiction, I need to talk about, like, one of my favorite books.
The book.
So, I read this book at the beginning of this year.
Can I actually, I haven't actually touched it yet.
Yeah. So, I read this book at the beginning of this year, and then I'm reading it again. This is my 3rd time reading it. But if it's Draco and Hermione fan fiction, it's Dramini. And, you know... Yes? Do you want to share with the audience? What's happening? I haven't gotten there yet.
She started mentally calculating likely options. Maybe he'd make her...
Anyways, so this is Manacled by Assembling You. I spent $100 on this book because bound fanfictions, like, are expensive. And this was originally a lot more. And it was on sale. And you know what?
How much was it originally?
Like $150.
Ah, good lord!
Yeah. So I was like, I have to get it. It's like one of my favorite fan fictions ever. And it's like in the Dramini fandom, this is the top tier fan fiction.
It's on Goodreads. Like,
no, it's on Goodreads, and that's why I was like, what? Oh my god.
Didn't I find it on Goodreads and you were like,
yeah, someone found it on Goodreads.
I think it was me, because I Googled it, and it came up on Goodreads before it came up on Archive of Our Own.
Yeah, so essentially it's like post-war Harry Potter
Except Voldemort
X The Handmaid's Tale, and Voldemort has won, and there's a repopulation effort, and like different types of wizards that aren't purebloods go to pureblood houses for a repopulation effort because
you know what that means.
People aren't having kids. So let me read the back. Okay. Harry Potter is dead. It's the aftermath of the war. Voldemort enacts a repopulation effort. Hermione Granger has an order secret, but she has like amnesia, some kind of going on. Her magic has protected herself, so parts of her memories are like not there. So she gets sent over to the Malfoy Manor where Draco is because he's like the High Reeve, which is like Voldemort's right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
Like really deadly, really like strong. So, and from there, it's an enemies to lovers, but it's told like, you just have to, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know if this is a
I will
spoiler.
say, so when I first was pitched Harry Potter X The Handmaid's Tale, someone had to read Handmaid's Tale in high school, I was like, what the f***? And then I read the tags of the thing, and I said, what the f***?
Yeah,
It's not that what the f***. Like, really, it's handled pretty well.
it's handled well. It's just, there's a lot of dark stuff talked about. So, like,
Trigger warning.
yeah. Check the trigger warnings, check everything. It's, yeah. If you, like,
I don't think it's glamorized, though. Like, I think fanfic has a tendency to glamorize, you know, heavy topics, for the sake of just, you know, it being fanfic. Didn't feel like that to me when I read it. And that was probably my biggest concern. I was like, okay, we're actually being respectful of what's going on, and we're not, like, belittling any of what Hermione's going through, which is really important. So it's I'm only like 10 or 11 chapters in, but it's actually really good.
Yeah. I'm on chapter...
In your reread.
In my reread, I'm on chapter 20 right now.
Dang.
So, yeah. When I got the copy, I got the version with illustrations. So, I don't know if you can see that.
It'll focus. Just...
Oh,
There it goes. There it goes.
See? I got the copy with illustrations. So, the art in there is really good. Yeah, this book is just really good. I know how some people can read this and be like, what the f*** you mean it's an enemies to lovers? You just have to read it. You just have
Who hexed me? Who was it?
So, like...
Draco!
You'll have to include the video of Emma Winchester. Me being told that Emma Winchester is also reading it or going to read it, I lost my shit. No! I need thoughts, I need opinions, because I just started rereading it this morning. So, hello?
I'm like 11 chapters in.
I feel so blessed. Everyone around me is getting into my little niche interest, and I'm just...
Great! Alright, guys. Well, we've talked enough.
Yeah, we really have talked about it.
We've definitely talked enough about our books. So let us know in the comments what your favorite books that you read this year were.
Or not so favorite.
Or like your least favorite. Like if you hated this book.
There's one thing is, hey, I can be a hater.
If you
It's
want to
kind of
attack us
fun.
for our opinions, go for it. I deserve to be attacked for The Cruel Prince.
Yeah.
That, like, I know that opinion's wrong. I still have it. I'm entitled to it, but I know it's wrong. Like, I know everyone in the world will disagree with me. Like, I've never met anyone who didn't like The Cruel Prince. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out Grace's channel. I know you've done several book related videos.
Yeah, I've
you've
done
like
few.
monthly like read with me or like my book haul videos. Yeah. So definitely, if you want more book content, go check out Grace. Grace, obviously, as you can tell, has good, intelligent thoughts on books, whereas I'm like, hi, this was a vibe.
Yeah.
Very, very, very different like types of readers in this place, but I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
We both like it, but we both enjoy things for different reasons. So anyways,
Yeah.
hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow with another Vlogmas if I'm not actually dying.
We'll see you tomorrow.